Thank you for coming and interviewing with us. If I can get you to introduce yourself.
Yes, I am Elizabeth Pappas.
Perfect. And how long have you lived in Burlington or the area?
Yes, so my husband and daughter and I moved here. It's almost been 6 years. We moved here from North Carolina, and since then have completely fallen in love with Burlington and this community.
And what do you love most about this community?
I think what I love most that was I quickly noticed as soon as we moved here was just how welcoming everyone was, and also we've lived in lots of cities. This is the smallest community we've lived in by far, and there's something about the size of Burlington that really allows you to connect with people, and I've always from the get-go found it to be a place where you can contribute, and anyone really can in your own way, because it's so small and it's so interconnected. There's just this ease that I have not found as well in other places as here, to just find where you can assimilate and how you can contribute in your own way. And I think that definitely lends itself to feeling attached and part of a community really quickly.
So the main focus of this interview is answering the question, what connects us? So when you hear that question, what comes to mind? As I'm the director of the Art Center of Burlington, and this is something that we think about a lot and I see on a daily basis through experiencing art in particular. We live in a world now that I think that we find less and less human. There's less and less ways to connect on a human level. We're always like one click away from distraction or this mediated experiences, and I find that through art in whatever form, it allows us to kind of have this human to human link. It kind of strips everything else away and we find common ground, and I think that at the Art Center in particular, it's this space where people can connect in a way that maybe they can't in their everyday environments. Can you share a specific moment when you felt deeply connected to someone or something?
Yes, this is maybe more than one person, but this happens a lot. But there was one time in particular at the Art Center, actually a couple months ago. We were doing we were exhibiting a one-night show of a local artist, Craig Fleece, and he had his beautiful paintings all over the space, and there were maybe almost 100 people in the room, community members, some people that had never been there before, and we were experiencing his work, and it was great and it was powerful. And then suddenly, we turned the lights off and all of his work was illuminated with black lights, and suddenly we found ourselves occupying a space together in the now. All of us, some of us knew each other, some of us didn't, and we were completely not distracted by anything else, and we were able to experience this incredible artwork in a new way, but we were doing it together. And everyone was completely captivated and captured in this moment together, and we all walked around the room seeing and experiencing something at the same time. Again, that unmediated experience together where we could fully take it in and be in the now. And I think that being in the now, so often we're occupying space together, but we're not really together. And that for me was maybe one of my favorite moments in that space that I love so much, but because it was so, you could just feel how we were all experiencing it together, and that
I think was impactful for everyone, and particularly me, and I walked away, and I think about that time often and try to recreate that so often because it was memorable for sure.
What role do diversity and inclusion play in fostering connections?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this question a lot. I recently read this incredible book by Brian Eno, and he described art as a simulator, and I think you can apply this to not just art, you can apply this to music, you can definitely apply it to books, but that those things are effective because they're safe, and you can read a book and it can be something very sad and tragic. You can look at a piece of artwork and it depicts something that you haven't yourself experienced. It's depicting something that somebody else has. You can hear music and it can move you and make you think about things that you haven't particularly been affected by, but you still are hearing it and experiencing it in a way. And I think that is what empathy is. And those modes of experiencing or viewing things help us, they help us experience and think about things that we don't necessarily have had to go through or had to endure, but it puts us in those shoes for a minute. And I think that when we're listening to music or we're viewing a painting or we're reading a book, we are forced to be in deep reflection. And I think when we're in deep reflection, we're less likely to be horrible to one another. We're more likely to be decent. We're more likely to think about somebody else's experience above our own. And that I find can be incredibly connecting, for sure.
How do you see our community as a place where people come together?
I see this every day, and again, it goes back to what I love so much about Burlington in particular when I compare it to other places that I live. But I think when you find ways to make the place that you live better, that is a connector for sure. And I think Burlington is such a great example of that. We have a lot of young people that volunteer or come to the Art Center and hang out with my staff and mentor with them. And I always say, if you want to love a place that you live, contribute to it. And there's so many ways to do that. It's not always about giving money. It's not always, there's if you have an idea of how to make the place that you live better, you can actually do that, and you can suggest it, and people can put you in touch with the right people to make that happen. But while you're here, while you're living here, be a part of a project, volunteer at the library. Those things make you attached to where you live, and when we feel attached to where we live, we want the best for it, and we're always striving to make it better, and those things connect us. When you get to be a part of a project that others were a part of, and then you actually get to see the fruits of your labor, or if you paint a planter downtown, or you contribute to a public art project, or you plant flowers or something downtown, you do it with others, and then you get to drive by or walk by and experience it. And I think that can be hugely connecting for us as community members.
Is there a story, memory, or personal experience that illustrates what connection means to you?
Just a couple weeks ago, my daughter was sitting and reading a book with her grandmother, and I thought that was such a perfect description or illustration of connection, because here you have this 7-year-old who's just on the cusp of her reading life, and she's already a vivacious reader, and then she's sitting next to her grandmother who has lived this long life as an avid reader and also shares this love for it, and they were doing it together and sharing something that they both love, but they have such different experiences with it because of an age difference and a lived experience. And I thought that was such a perfect scene of what connection looks like. Two people that are bonded by so many things just because, but then this bond that they can have doing something that they both love together, and that was pretty special to witness, for sure.
Absolutely. And for the final part of this, do you have any final thoughts on what connects us as individuals or a community? Or anything you want to add that you want preserved?
Well, one thing I was thinking about when I was reading these questions was something that I've had in my life that I think about often when I'm connecting with people or looking for opportunities to. And I've been very lucky to get to live in lots of different places. When I was in high school, I remember having this very this huge sense of curiosity for the world, and knowing that I was having this sense that I was just this very, very small component of a very, very large world. And I don't know if it was curiosity took the best of me and it completely blinded me, and I'm very grateful for that because I kind of just dove into it. But I was able to move away for school and move clear across the country, and I've been to lots of other countries, and immediately in doing that I realized how very small I was in a very large world and where I fit within that. And since then, in adulthood, my husband and I have gotten to live in many, many different cities, and we've always done so being completely new. It's always been foreign to us, and we've always moved places where we actually didn't know a single soul. And I've always been very grateful for that, and I feel that that's been a great way to connect with others in maybe an unconventional way, because it's really forced us to put ourselves in situations where we've had to acclimate to different cultures and a different way of doing things. And when you're the outsider, you have to kind of be respectful and sensitive to, you're the one coming into it. And so you have to kind of do this balancing act of looking at a place from the outside, but also wanting to contribute to it. And I have found that to be a way where I can actually feel very connected to a place and the people that occupy that space. And it's something that I always tell young people, and that I want for my child as well, is to embrace the world with both hands and experience and look for opportunities to kind of be the person that wasn't always there, or that is a great way to connect and find common ground with people, is when it doesn't come naturally to you all the time, or you're in a position where it's not always easy. So that's something that I've always been really grateful that I've had the opportunity in life to experience other places that way, and it has been a way for me to feel very connected to people.
That's perfect. Sounds like you've had
That
so many adventures.
I answered that question, but it's true.
No, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
so
sitting
welcome.
down with us.
I hope I said anything that made sense.
No, you were perfect. This is a great one.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. This is so fun.